welcome back to my channel. This is my Sunday series, Ask Me Anything. I'm doing this series on a regular basis, so I'm going to be trying to answer all your questions in my coming videos that you've been sending me on my Facebook, my Instagram, my email, or my YouTube. So keep those questions pouring. Even if you do not get answers to your questions in this particular video, be rest assured I'll be answering those questions in the upcoming videos. So let's get started with today's questions. The question we're addressing today is about swimming. Do I need to know swimming if I'm applying for an international airline? It really depends on the airline that you're applying for. However, if you're applying for an international airline, you definitely will be flying over international waters. And if you're flying over international waters, it means that you should be actually prepared to ditch if there's an emergency, or if you need to do some sort of water evacuation. When it comes to any emergency, you should be well prepared to swim. And of course, if you know how to swim, you'll be able to save yourself and you'll be able to save other people around you as well. So from that perspective, I personally think swimming is very, very important. But do you necessarily need to know swimming to apply for a cabin crew interview? Not really. It really depends on the airline that you're applying for. So certain airlines are very, very specific, and they will mention it in the requirement itself whether you need to have the swimming as one of the qualifications. But let's talk about Singapore Airlines, for example. They don't really mention necessarily that you need to know swimming. However, when it comes to your training, when you're doing your safety and security training, you will be ditching into the water with your life vest. And you need to be comfortable in water. So my personal advice would be to actually go and learn swimming if you do not. However, if you're going for the cabin crew interview and you do not know swimming, the airlines do not teach you swimming. So it's good that you go ahead and learn it on your own accord. So the second question that I'll be addressing today is something that has been asked a lot of times to me about the age. If I'm 26, 27, 30, 31, should I apply for a cabin crew interview? Now let's be very, very honest. Definitely if you're younger, within the bracket of maybe 18 to 25, your chances of getting through the interview is definitely higher in comparison to somebody who's 26, 27, or for that matter of fact 30 or 31. It is an industry where a lot works on the face value. So the interviewers definitely do look out for somebody who's younger. However, should it stop you from going to the interview? No, because certain airlines are very, very particular, and they will specifically mention whether you have to be within the certain age group to go for the cabin crew interview. But for example, Singapore Airlines and a lot of other airlines do not sometimes mention the upper age limit. They only mention the lower age limit, which is 18. So by all means, you're actually eligible and you qualify to go for the cabin crew interview. So go for the interview, let the interviewers decide based on your personality, your answers, how basically you do role plays, how you react to situations, whether they really want you or they do not want you. The question that we'll be addressing today is quite interesting. Actually, it's about having a soft personality and people with soft personality getting bullied or getting scolded on flights or having to deal with tough customers. Let me actually say this to you guys. It is really not about your personality at the end of the day. Bullying, scolding has a lot to do with the situations and the people around you as well. I personally have been bullied myself once, actually only once, in my 10 years of flying with Singapore Airlines. And how did I deal with it? I will tell you later, because I'm going to make a video on that very, very soon. However, what I'm going to tell you right now is that sometimes it is not just about scolding or bullying. Imagine if you need to get something done in a very, very short span of time. For example, if you're running a Hong Kong turn and you have to serve about 250 passengers, there is no time to do service recovery. You have to make sure everything goes perfectly fine. And in that situation, if you're dealing with someone who's a newcomer, who doesn't really know their work very well, then there would be times that the person who's experienced, who's trying to run the service, might come across as someone who's basically being a little harsh, speaking in a tone which is not really normal. But do not really take that as scolding. Just take it as an experience, just take it as a learning opportunity, because he's also trying to do his job, she's also trying to do his job, and they just want to make sure that all the passengers leave happy at the end of the day. But what you can contribute from your side is to be able to work well by knowing your job properly, doing your homework, finding out whatever you need to do before the flight, and just putting your best foot forward when it comes to your flights. However, bullying, yes, there will be times that somebody might get personal. If someone is attacking you personally, if you're feeling harassed on a personal level, then yes, I will definitely advise you to take it up with the right authorities, go to your seniors, talk to them. There's definitely a lot of support group that you would get within the airline itself. However, you definitely need to understand what this culture is all about, and then you'll be able to differentiate between bullying, scolding, and if someone is actually doing it intentionally or someone is just doing it because they just want to get some work done. And dealing with tough customers. Now, I always tell people this thing: there are no tough or lenient customers, there are no good or bad customers. It's really about passengers' expectations. Some passengers have different expectations than the others. I personally have come across a lot of passengers who have different expectations. Like once I was dealing with this passenger who was not happy with anything that we did. He was scolding us for our training, even though Singapore Airlines has the best training in the world. He was telling us that we don't really know anything. Singapore Airlines is not a good airlines to fly with. But how did I deal with it? I'm going to make a video on that soon as well, because I know that's a very interesting story that I wanted to share with all of you. However, honestly, at the end of the day, when that passenger left the flight, he left it with a smile on his face and a compliment letter in his hand. And I'm going to tell you how that happened. Very, very simple. All that I basically did was just give him a listening ear. By giving him a listening ear does not mean that I let him scold me. I was assertive enough to tell him what is right and what is wrong, but at the same time I made sure I listened to him. And just by listening to him, at the end of the day, I was able to actually make him happy. The tip that I'm going to give you guys here is basically when you're dealing with customers, when you're dealing with colleagues, just keep your emotions aside. Put on that work face, put in that work emotion, and basically just go out and be a professional, and that's how you're going to be able to deal with bullying, scolding, or if you call tough customers. Okay, so the next question I will be addressing today, it's about being cheerful when it comes to cabin crew interviews or being a cabin crew itself. Now, I always tell everyone, it is never really about being serious. At the end of the day, when it comes to cabin crew interviews, it's all about being spontaneous. It is definitely about having fun. It is definitely about your personality. But let's also understand that it's about being professional. So there's a very thin line of difference between being childish and being professional. You can smile, you can make your interviewers smile, you can have a little bit of fun when it comes to the interviews. However, remember, at the end of the day, you have to do all of this professionally and not childishly. So that's the basic difference. Feel free to basically engage with your interviewers by making them smile or laugh a little bit. That's one of the best things to do, actually, because when you're engaging your interviewers, you're actually one step closer to cracking that interview for yourself. And of course, when it comes to your job, cabin crew, it's all about fun, spontaneity, but at the same time, it's also about getting job done. So you have to find that thin line of difference for yourself. The last question that we'll be taking today is about having any sort of customer service experience. And I've made a video on this last week as well, where I told you guys that as a fresher, you can definitely apply for any cabin crew job, depending upon whether the airline is looking for an experienced crew or looking for a fresher, or they're okay with no experience at all. Having said that, do I have to have a customer service experience to be able to join any particular airline? Honestly, it is not a requirement. If you have it, that's fantastic. But what you really need to showcase is your qualities. If you have those qualities that a cabin crew possesses, which is to be humble, to be approachable, to be warm, to be friendly, to engage with people, to make them smile, to have a little bit of fun, to be spontaneous, just portray all these qualities when it comes to your cabin crew interview. And that will take care of that customer service experience that you don't necessarily have. Because let's understand, at the end of the day, when you actually when you're actually hired by the airline, they put you through very extensive training. There's usually about 3 to 4 months of training, or maybe 2 to 3 months of training with any airline. And in those 2 to 3 months, they'll be actually telling you a lot of stuff when it comes to customer service. They'll be training you in hospitality, they'll be training you in dealing with situations, they'll be training you in dealing with people. So even if you don't have the experience, but if you have the qualities to be able to handle those situations, if you have the qualities to behave like a cabin crew, that is something that you need to have when it comes to your cabin crew interviews. So I really hope I was able to answer your questions today. And if I'm not able to answer some of your questions, as I said, do not worry. Keep pouring your questions. Be rest assured, I'll be taking those questions up in the upcoming videos. And of course, if you still haven't subscribed to the channel, do not forget to subscribe, and do press the notification bell so that you can get updated with the latest videos. And you all know that I do personal coaching, so do get in touch with me if you want to prepare yourself for your next upcoming interview. I'll be launching my group classes very soon. Stay tuned to know about that as well. I already launched my Stay Healthy With Me series, but I'll be launching my Cabin Crew Adventures and Diaries series very soon. I'll be also talking about personality development, confidence, and how not to be nervous for your next cabin crew interview. So stay tuned for more videos. In the meantime, stay happy, stay pretty, and stay handsome. Love you guys. Bye.